Thank you for joining me. My name's Catherine. I want to talk a little bit about attention and attention we get as women. And I will admit to you here, confessional, I missed the attention I got as a young woman that I took for granted that attention would always be available to me as a female. And when I split up with my husband of 29 years in 2018, I expected, bam, they'd just be flocking back. I'm ready. I'm putting down the emotional shield that says, don't look at me. I'm married. I'm unavailable, right? Because that was very much part of my identity and my persona throughout all of the 90s and 2000s and most of the 2010s. I didn't want to be putting that energy out there that I was sexually active or available because I didn't want men to get the wrong idea, right? My experiences from the time I was a teenager through my 20s and 30s and 40s was that, if you smile at a man or look at a man, they're going to assume that you are ready. And I do think the male brain tends to wire itself that if they get a look from a woman, they just assume she's ready. And it's kind of funny, and God bless them, because I think that's one of the gifts of testosterone that so many men think that if you just look at them, they want you. And that's fine. Go ahead and believe that, because as a man, if you have to believe that, and that makes you invincible and it makes you willing to take the risk and go out and get rejected by women every day, then God bless you for being the man you are. So I'm not going to say it's wrong. I certainly looked and smiled and hugged many, 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 many men over the years that I had no desire to be with sexually. I was friends with them, or they were an acquaintance or whatever, and it didn't even cross my mind. Honestly, that was not anything that I thought about. And so I put up emotional barriers. I was not available, and by not being very friendly or not really like smiling at strangers or looking like, I would look away. I made an intentional effort to be closed to men, especially men I didn't know, that I didn't want to get the wrong impression. And in 2018, when I became single and I put myself on a couple apps, and I didn't get nearly as much of the response from the opposite sex that I hoped for. And honestly, it affected my ego. And I wondered, am I not all that? Am I not attractive? Do I look that old? Am I that fat? Am I not what someone wants? Like, I know I'm amazing and I'm pretty confident of who I am on the inside, but maybe the outside isn't catching up. And I think years of training myself to not be seen, to not be sexualized, um, it took a while for the universe to catch up with, hey, I am available, and hey, I do want the attention. So I just want to talk a little bit about that and about admitting and taking the shame away from admitting that I wanted attention, that I wanted admiration. Um, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that as a woman. We are creatures of beauty. We are the sex that is idolized, that is pursued, right? We don't chase boys. Um, we don't go conquer. We receive. We get the attention. And it's a beautiful thing. And trying to figure out how to live in that space of being a receiver, of being someone who gets attention. And I'm sure that there are many women who can relate to me on this, but in a business world, you go out and you do your business and you're successful and we're achievers and we're boss bitches and we're going out and we're making the money, we're doing the thing. And that can be a very masculine energy. And I feel like I lived, even though I was definitely a woman and I'm girly and I, have long hair and I wear dresses and lace and flowers and all that, I still lived in a very masculine identity in the sense that I was, conquering. I was out there, in the real estate world, like hustling and grinding and, staying up late or getting up early and doing the thing. So trying to tap back into the femininity and the energy of being someone who's pursued, someone who is valued for their beauty, and then discovering that the universe didn't quite catch up to where I wanted it to be energetically. I wanted to be pursued. I wanted to be the subject of beauty. And what I saw around me with the men who were in my age range, who were single or at least maybe divorced and starting to date again. And what I seemed to find consistently was men who were dating much younger women. And the more I saw it, the more I continued to see it. And it really did a mind on me. Um, there is confirmation bias, right? So if you think about you're going to buy a Lexus, a sedan or whatever, and you start thinking about it, and then you'll start to see them everywhere, right? Because you're looking for it now. Your mind is open to it, and now you're going to just start seeing these white Lexus sedans all over the place. And I think once I thought that men my age were dating younger women, much younger women, women half their age, I started seeing it more and more. And the more I saw it, the more it confirmed that I was right. I had that confirmation bias that the men were in fact looking for something much younger. And if that was the case as a 55-year-old, and I'm meeting another man who's 55 and he's dating a woman who's 30, then does that mean I have to date someone who's 80 who wants to go out with someone who's 55? I was just like, I would get into this real scarcity mentality about dating, and I would think there's not going to be anyone for me because all these men are dating younger women. And ironically, my husband was much older than me. He was 11 years older than me. So I was, part of the problem. If that's a problem, then I was part of the problem. And I didn't feel guilty about that at the time. I didn't think, oh, I'm snagging a guy who's in his 30s and I'm in my 20s, and therefore I'm depriving some other woman in her 30s of the chance to meet someone her own age. That never occurred to me. And it shouldn't occur to you either, because it's frankly idiotic to think that way. But in my scarcity mindset of my post-divorce single life in midlife and trying to navigate dating and going on these apps. And I think I've been on, let's see, I went on Tinder, I went on Match, eHarmony, Bumble, and I would look at the men who liked me. Now I would filter um, to like 50 and over, right? Because it just seemed crazy to try to find like a life partner who wasn't somewhat close to me in age. So I would filter on like 50 and older, 55 and older. And then I would pay for the upgraded subscription so I could see everyone who liked me. And then I'd see everyone who liked me. And I was not attracted to most of those men because they looked like my grandfather. And I didn't feel like I looked like a grandmother. I thought I was keeping it all together pretty well. But these men were quite a bit older, and I wasn't finding those men attractive. And I was thinking, do I need to like drink myself into oblivion to find a way to not notice that I'm not attracted so that I can get myself to kiss them or make out with them or do something more than that, which just didn't strike me. It didn't resonate with me at all. And sometimes I would see my friends dating men that I didn't know how they were finding them attractive. And I'm like, oh, I guess they're going to become attractive to me after I get to know them and after I learn what an amazing person they are. And I get to really see their heart. And I think that's a beautiful idea. I wasn't getting there very easily. I would have to take a lot of leaps in faith to try to find that, and call that superficial. I just wanted someone who was good looking and someone who revved me up the same way I hope I rev someone up when they're hanging out with me. I mean, I don't want them to think that they'd have to drink or that it's just my heart, because we can be friends. If it's just my heart and my spirit, my soul, and I'm a beautiful person that thinks similar thoughts and has similar goals, and cool, let's be friends. Why are we going to take it to a physical level? So I struggled with that. I really did. And one thing that happened for me was as I got thinner and as I went through my own personal glow up with bioidentical hormones, with exercise, going to the gym was a huge part of it, losing weight. And I started to get attention externally through Instagram mostly. Um, but even men, at the gym or at the airport or at the grocery store, I also started to lower my defenses because I realized that that persona that I had put on that said, stop, don't look at me, I'm not available, that was really thoroughly ingrained into my identity and personality and physicality in ways I didn't even notice. The fact is, I rarely smiled at anyone that I didn't know. I didn't just smile at strangers. And it was decades of training to not be friendly, to not open up that way, that I started to chisel that ice queen out and say, okay, you know what? It's okay to smile at someone. And what's the worst they're going to do? Think that I'm interested? Oh, how bad is that? Either I am interested or I'm not. And if I'm not interested, that's an easy enough thing to say, especially in today's time when people respect the word no so much more than at any time in history, thanks to the Me Too movement and so much, I'm not saying that rape and unwanted sexual aggression doesn't happen, but we're much more aware of that. And I think if a man is interested and you're not interested, it's pretty easy to just say, "Oh, thanks. I'm so flattered. I'm really not. I'm not interested. Thank you so much. You've made my day. And move on. It's not the end of the world. And the other thing is I will approach men occasionally. I will actually go up to someone in the gym and say, "Wow, you made my workout so easy today because I was focused on you instead of working out," or whatever it is, some cheesy like line. And it may not go anywhere with that particular individual because, like I said, generally I want to be chased. I don't want to do the chasing, but sometimes someone is just so delicious that I will get out of my comfort zone and approach them directly. Maybe ask for their Instagram, or just tell them I like their hair or I like what they're wearing or something like that, and use that opportunity. If they want to flirt back, if they want to ask me for my number, great. And if they don't, no harm done. I don't feel rejected. Um, I would feel like it was a waste if I hadn't said something. So I don't do that a lot, but I have got out of my own way occasionally and walked right up to someone. And I think that I think it's really important to do things like that once in a while just to get out of your comfort zone. But also, here's how I look at it. I look at it like this. I made their day. I made their day. Having some random woman walk up to them and tell them that they have great hair or great biceps or something, I know that they're living off that little ego boost for a while, right? So the worst that happens is I made someone's day. I made some man like happy for a minute. That's a great thing. I'll take it. I'll take that all day long, right? So I think one shouldn't be worried about that. And then just getting out of your own way, smiling and what have you. And then as far as the apps, so here's my advice on the apps. Take out the filters. Take out the filters. I didn't realize until 2024 that I would be attractive to younger men. And it's made all the difference. For one thing, I like younger men. I'm attracted to younger men. I like the way the body is shaped and the face. And yeah, I like all of that. Not every single young man, but there's some very attractive young men. And I felt like that was dirty or wrong, that I shouldn't look at men who were young enough to be my son or younger. That seemed like improper. And I don't know where I got that idea. And I hope you will question that of yourself if you have that idea. If you're single and out there in the dating world and you think you might be interested in someone younger, honestly, I think part of the reason I edited the ability to look at young men was because I didn't think they'd want me. I mean, why would they want someone as old as me? There's so many pretty young girls out there. If you could get a 25-year-old hot young thing, or you could get a 55-year-old, why would they choose me over her? And I didn't want to be the last resort girl. I didn't want to be like, I feel sorry for her, or I'm not interested, but I've got no one else right now, so I'll take it. Like, that is not the story I want to have, right? I want it to be this object of desire. And here's what I discovered after I started seeing younger men and asking them questions. You'll love this. They started to share with me that getting with an older woman is a badge of honor. It is like they did it. Like, they had enough, confidence, perseverance, stamina, personality, body, that they could get an older woman. It's a status symbol. And I never thought that what I had to offer was something more desirable than someone younger. I do believe that there is something about a man getting with an older woman that is a status for him. That is something he can be proud of. That's something like, wow, I could satisfy an older woman, a woman who's had experience, a woman who's seen shit and still chose to spend her time with me, still chose to share her body with me. Um, it's very powerful. And I would encourage you to question yourself about your boundaries if that is something you're having trouble with. It was not something that came natural to me. It took me, 6 years of dating men my age and going long bouts of drought where I wasn't seeing anyone at all and thinking like, wow, all those fun times, like I should have enjoyed them in the 80s because that's over now. And discovering fairly recently, really within the last year and a half, that that's not true at all. And oh, how much fun I have been having. Let me tell you, it's just so much abundance and so much experience to be had. And it has been so fun. It has been such an amazing journey. And each person I meet gives me a chance to learn more about myself, about my boundaries, about my communication style. And I don't think I would have gotten that if I'd stuck to just dating one guy a year who was my age instead of dating a lot of men who are younger, and my expectations have changed. When I first got divorced, I really wanted to just take another person of similar interests, similar background, similar finances, and just plug him right in to this empty space next to me. Just be like, well, this one's gone. Let's put another one in that place. I want to be in a partnership. I want to be in a marriage. I want to, both agree what our goals are and both work towards those things. I want someone with similar ambitions, similar interests. And it doesn't work that way. I'm just like fitting someone into this peg that I had, like this square peg into a round hole or whatever. Like, oh, well, I don't know, you like sushi and you like the woods or the beach or whatever, and just like, oh, well, you like enough things in common, you could just fit right in that space instead of really getting to learn about another person. Every single person is different. Every single person has their things of value and their downside, their upside, and wanting to just fit someone in that box because I wanted to be in a couple really shortchanges what another person is and who they are. I mean, it takes a long time to really get to know someone, all their idiosyncrasies, all their special secret desires and goals and who they are and what they're into. We're all so different. And one of the things that changed for me when I started dating more and dating younger is I stopped trying to make this person a life partner. I stopped trying to lay all of this heavy expectation on this other human being. You have to earn this much money and you have to have this much, be established in this way, and your family has to be like such, and your kids have to be grown. And, you know, I decided to get really comfortable with who I am and where I am in my life and realize that at this moment, I'm not really looking to fill in my space in my day-to-day life with one other person who's going to be living with me or being a huge part of every single day. I'm really enjoying the variety of meeting new people. And, maybe some people did a lot of that when they were in college or when they were in their 20s. I did not. I went from my first marriage of 5 years where I had a child to my next marriage when I was 24 years old, which lasted 30 years. So I pretty much spent like all my youth being married. And it's such an amazing time right now to be single because in the 80s there weren't all these great apps. To get around and date a bunch of different people, you had to have you either had to be in college, maybe know people that way, or have a really big network. Like you weren't going to meet that many people. I mean, you went out on a Friday night, a Saturday night, how many people could you meet? And then you're like, with someone for, 6 months or whatever. So you're not dating around at that point. So I think it's amazing that we live in a time where we can get on an app, meet a whole bunch of different people on the app remotely, virtually, and then either decide to go out and have a coffee with them or to have a conversation or a video call or what have you, or not. And then you can go on another app. Then you can go on another app. And especially if you're willing to sort of pay for who's already matched you, like on Tinder, it's Tinder Gold or what have you. You can just go through it like a shopping list, like, oh, this one looks like what I'm in the mood for right now. Because a lot of them don't have profiles. So what? You spend 5 minutes on a video call. You see if there's any chemistry. You see if there's any interest to take it any further. It's only like depressing and overwhelming if you tell yourself it's depressing and overwhelming. I don't look at it that way anymore. I look at it like a fun little shopping trip. Do I want everything at the grocery store? No, there are entire aisles I never go down. But is it nice to peruse and know that I can have any of those vegetables if I want them? Any of that fruit, I can have it, right? It's all available. So we live in a time of amazing abundance and all kinds of things are available. And you need to stop thinking of yourself as not an object of desire. If you had similar thoughts to me into how you are framing your identity, remember that there are so many men that look at an older woman as this amazing catch, that they were able to take down an older woman. And when you realize that about yourself, you'll see yourself in a much more powerful and beautiful light. And that's my message for today. I really hope that resonates with you. If you're watching this, please comment. Tell me what your experiences are in the dating apps, in your own identity. Share with me as I'm sharing with you. Thank you. See you next time.